Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Anissa binti Aznan, and our group would like to present about the case study of ADM599 and gender bias. Before we go through into discussions of the case study, I would like to introduce about ethics in a business. As we all know, ethics is really important in businesses, as nowadays society is undergoing the dramatic changes in values and societal norm. Therefore, there has been a consensus on the ethical standard in the organizations. For instance, many organizations nowadays have developed a code of ethics in their firm to remind the employee about the importance of the ethics in the workplace. However, it is still clear that ethical issue is still linger in the businesses, whether it is conscious or unconscious. For example, one of the major issue is gender bias or gender discrimination. Gender discrimination generally means that when an employee or a job applicant is treated differently because of their sex or because of their gender identity and sexual orientations. These issues can lead to a moral decline in the company. It is because when employees feel they are not treated fairly, they may feel resentful toward the management team or other employees who benefits from the discriminations. So this negative attitude will affect their performance and as well as reduce the productivity in the company. In order to overcome this ethical issue, there are several approaches, such as giving voice to value, or known as a GVV. Giving voice to value is created for business ethics program. It's help to identify many ways that individual can do to voice out their values in the workplace to resist unethical actions. It also help people to build and practice skills they need to recognize, speak and act on their values in the context of professional responsibilities. In this case study, we will discuss on how ADM599 put her effort in curbing ethical discriminations in her workplace. To answer questions number 1, ADM599 made the choice to voice out her value when she felt discriminated against because of being woman in her workplace. Trainer Perkins discriminated against her on the basis of gender by failing to promote her and terminate her employment. According to ADM599, men with similar profile and accomplishments were promoted instead. She felt that her male counterpart were given the promotions which she felt she deserved. Next, ADM599 made the choice to voice her value when the company retaliated. Because of the conversations she had in the late of 2011 and memo from January 4, 2012, the company retaliates against her by terminating her employment. ADM599 stated in her memo that she wanted to work with the company to improve the women's working conditions. She also detailed harassment she had experienced while at that firm, stating that she had been excluded from meeting by her male partners and claiming that there was no training or rules in the place to avoid discriminations. Eventually, on 1st October 2012, she was fired. ADM599 voiced her value in each of these instances by suing the company because there was no structure in dealing the human resource issues, and she also believed that she had exhausted all the other alternatives for dealing with the problems internally. According to Paul, women and men should have equal opportunities to become a venture capitalist. She aspired to be a venture capitalist, but she couldn't do so in that environment. As a result, she wanted to make certain that her message was shared in order to provide those possibilities.
Now I will proceed on the question 2. Yes, for me, ADM599 has added her value effectively. Due to this reason, ADM599 know her value as female workers and bravely speak up about her value. She wrote a formal memorandum to several of her superiors and the firm outside the Council on January 4, 2012. In the memorandum, she stated that she was being harassed, excluded from meetings by male partners, and asserted the absences of trainings and policy to prevent discrimination. The memo also states that she wants Kleiner Perkins to improve the condition of the women. Because of this issue, she was fired on October 1st, 2015. Although she has effectively at her value, she still lose to the lawsuit because the case only focused on Ellen Powell's performance and characters. Kleiner Perkins noted that Powell has received several negative reviews on her performance. She also had entitled or resentful towards other employees and been saying not team players. The evidence also include the self-evaluation, meeting summaries, and a message from both personal and professional workers. The firm claims that Powell is being paid more than her male colleagues. They also say that the job scope of Powell's position is more to managerial and limit her involvement in investing, and there was no form of discrimination. This shows that Powell acted effectively on her value. She does not provide clear evidence to show the discrimination that she received. Meanwhile, Kleiner Perkins show clear evidence to defend themselves. As for the answer to question 3, there are 7 pillars of giving voice to value, GVV. The first pillar is value, which introduced as a small set of value or hype norms that are universally being shared, such as honesty, respect, responsibility, fairness, and compassion in the workplace. The second one is choice. It refers to as everybody having a choice to add or not to add towards their values, which they can find an effective way to voice out their values, and they may think it can bring a failure. Next is normalization, where being expecting the value of conflict is normal to our life, which we can approach it calmly and competently, and overreacting can lead to values conflicts that can limit our choice being unnecessary. A fourth pillar is purpose, known as the encouragement to ask ourselves the purpose we work. Ask ourselves, why do I work, or what I am working for? If we can answer the question properly, we can easily accept the value conflict more easily as a normal part of career. Self-knowledge and alignment are the fifth pillar of GVV. To voice out and act out on our value are the way of consistency in view who we are, and also can build our strengths by acting the self-knowledge and alignment. People may see themselves as risk-averse or risk-takers, introvert or extrovert, bold or cautious. Voice is the sixth pillar that introduced as the we mostly like to say words that we've been practiced, and also likely to voice out our value with the scripting and practice. Knowing that we more likely to say the word we already have in mind to ourselves and already hear it ourselves, but express it and encourage us to speak up and give voice to our values. The last pillar of the GVV is reason and rationalization, known as that we can identify and prepare well-reasoned response. There are common arguments and rationalization that are used to defend unethical or questionable practices, whether in business or in our wider life. These rationalizations are pretty predictable and vulnerable to reason's responses. Preparing ahead of time to respond to them can make it easier to address ethical problems. The pillar that can be found on Allen Power Action are values, choice, self-knowledge and alignment, voice, and reason and rationalization. Pau know her value as the worker in Kleiner Perkins, as she wished that the firms will improving the condition for women by being treated with fairness, honesty, and have a respect towards female workers. She also chose to add on the discrimination that been received by her at the Kleiner Perkins. She also find a way how to add the issue by made a lawsuit towards the firms and also made a formal memorandum to several of her superiors and the firms outside the council. She know what to say and voice out the value that should receive by her in expressing of the concerns after there is no process from the HR about the issue, and she exhausted from the all option in addressing the issue internally. Pau said that she have tried many times to bring Kleiner Perkins to the right path. He also thinks that firms need to give an equal opportunity to women. After being ignored of the unethical issue, she sued the company and made 4 claims to the Kleiner Perkins. The 4 claims are they discriminated against Pau on the basis of gender by failed to promote her and terminating her employment. They retaliated by failing to promote her because of the conversation she had in late 2011 and the memorandum on the January 4, 2012. They failed to take all the reasonable steps to prevent the gender discrimination, and they retaliated against her by terminating her appointment because of the conversation she had on late 2011 and the memo from January 4, 2012. She know how to respond all the issue by making a reasonable and rationalization to suit the firms.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Kamilia binti Syamsudirman. So my part will be about answering the question number 4, which is what I would have done if I were in pole position. So in my opinion, if I were in pole position, I would start collecting and recording evidences to prove that I'm being discriminated in the office. This is because nowadays people wouldn't believe us if we didn't have any evidences to prove that we are being discriminated in the office. And based on these evidences, we could bring it to the authorities such as Ministry of Human Resources to prove that we are being discriminated in the office, and they could take a further action toward this case. Okay, the example of evidences that we could use to prove that we are being discriminated are such as recorded video, recorded voices of people talking bad about you or discriminating you in the offices, or documents. For this type of document, what I could suggest is if you want to say that you are being discriminated by your name is being excluded in the meeting, you could prove that by showing the minutes of meeting that your name is not included in that meeting. For me, that type of document also could be that proof you are being discriminated in the office. Okay, for the next part, I'm choosing the pillar number 4 of DBB, which is purpose. This is because every time we make a decision, we need to remind ourselves back why we choose to make that decision, and remind us back what is the purpose we choose to make that decision. So, based on this case study, which is Pau gender bias, we know that Pau know the purpose of she chose to bring this case to the higher level, which is bring this case to the court. This is because she want to prove that her company discriminating her in that office, and also to protect her rights in that office, which is she is not eligible to being discriminated in that office. However, she lost in that case because she couldn't prove that her company, Kleiner Perkins, discriminating her in the office. But based on her case, many people start realizing that they are also being discriminated in the office and starting to take a further action toward their company for discriminating them in the company.
If I was a juror, I would rule in the favor of Kleiner Perkins because Kleiner Perkins seems to have more concrete evidence that stated with the opposite of what Ellen Pau has claimed towards Kleiner Perkins. In the court, a strong and concrete evidence is the key to win the hearts of the jurors and the judge as well. If we do not have nor provide strong and concrete evidence of any claims that we make, it is harder to win the case. However, I strongly move by what Ellen Pau did, even though I rule in the favor of Kleiner Perkins, because no other women would have been brave enough to stand up and speak for their rights, especially if they are the ones experiencing any discrimination and sexual harassment in the workplace. Throughout this study case, people's hearts are won by Ellen Pau because she had set an example to all people about what they should do when they have encountered this kind of situations. Ellen Pau was recently invited in the Makers Conference in 2019 with Jada Pickett Smith to talk about the issue. Furthermore, I too hope that Kleiner Perkins are more alert and more professional as well. Lastly, I advise to those who encountered the same problem as Ellen Pau, please provide concrete evidence for every lawsuit you filed in.
Answering the question number 6, yes, I do, which is deliberate deception in the workplace. So, based on my own experience, back then, one of my colleagues said that he couldn't attend his night shift because he is sick. So, I am as the person who worked the shift before him, I need to cover him because at that night we are short of staff. However, a few hours later, we found that he is lying about his sickness because he is somewhere else having fun with his friend. So at that time, I am as the person who covered him. I didn't do anything. I even didn't tell the boss about what he did to me, and I'm really disappointed with myself. And if I could turn back time, for sure I will do something better, which is telling the boss or manager about what he have done, so that he couldn't do that to other person, because after my case he still do that problematic attitude towards others colleagues.
Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Firstly, thank you Camelia for your explanation. And hi, my name is Afika Husna binti Roslan. And for my part, I will explain and share my experience witnessing gender bias when I worked for a while after my diploma. It happened when I saw a group of people laugh at a male nurse where I believe that they are friends, because for them it is too girly and not suitable for a male to be a nurse. Surprisingly, the male nurse just smiling without saying anything. And for me, there should not be any discrimination towards our job or dream, because everyone deserves to do so. If that situation happened to me, firstly, I will absolutely be speechless like the male nurse, and I will ask, their own idea about the gender discrimination towards the people who laugh at me. Whether they heard about gender discrimination and do they know about it? Do they have knowledge regarding it? Do they realize that they are already discriminate people work? Example of question that I will ask them are there any problem for a male to be a nurse? Are there any condition that only women are allowed to be a nurse? How about a male patient that need help? Do only women can help? Gender discrimination is definitely immoral and plain wrong for me. I think the ethical way to handle discrimination in work is starting from the organization itself. The organization should set a clear policy regarding gender discrimination in the workplace to avoid this problem from happening. Put written policies to promote gender equality in organization. The policies should ensure that men and women receive equal pay for equal work, allow men and women balance their work careers along with their personal life, prohibit all forms of harassment in workplace, especially sexual harassment. Those are several policies that company can practice in their organization. Second, to ensure gender discrimination not happen is by avoiding any gender bias when selecting, recruiting employee, training, and promotion practices such as during interview, the interviewer only show interest in male interviewee or only male employee are promoted to higher position. Lastly, the most important thing is to be transparent throughout the organization, whether towards male employee or woman employee, because everyone are deserve to receive the same treatment. If they did a great job, they will be rewarding, and if not, they will be warning. In workplace, employees should be judged, promoted, and valued based on their work performance, work quality, contribution, teamwork with coworkers, and not based on their gender. Okay, as for the conclusion, my group mate and I believe that we should practice gender equality and the gender discrimination should not happen anymore in our daily life or in workplace or even during our study. It might be hard to eliminate gender discrimination, but if everyone is not discriminate others, respect other people work and dream, this problem will not arise anymore. However, if you are still being discriminated in workplace, you must report in writing regarding the problem towards your employer. Work should be fun and motivating for all people, so we, ourselves, should make our own strategy to eliminate gender bias in our daily life or in workplace and beyond. Okay, that's all from me and my group mate. Thank you for listening. And if you have any inquiries regarding this topic, feel free to ask the question. And thank you. Have a nice day. Thank you.